once again, the Oh No Wrestling Podcast returns. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Owen, and I am your Shark Break Kid. Along with me tonight is my good friend Duncan. He's the king of bong style.
Damn right.
And, well, I don't know if we've got a new person joining the show with us this evening, but I did think it was our good buddy Matthew all the way from Denver, the modern-day Maharaja, in the studio once again. And judging by your attire, Matthew, it must be a little bit cold out there.
It's a little cold out here. I had to put on a face mask, and also I had to hide the shame of myself from not being the best wrestling fan this week. I went pretty hard the week before, but this week life got in the way, so I just kind of had to, it's one of those things. It just makes me feel better. It's like covering your face up with a beard or something,
Yeah.
long hair.
What are you trying to say?
I'm not saying anything. The top's looking good, but
Duncan,
it's fucking snowing out here. It was 99 degrees the last 3 days, but it's fucking snowing. So, had to get a little facial heat here with the.
I hear ya. And don't pretend, Duncan, like you've got nothing in life to be ashamed of for growing a beard. I mean, that's
Oh, I grew it out of the shame of the molestache.
Yes, you
This
are.
is exactly what it was.
That's exactly what it was. It's good to be with you guys, though, after a very interesting weekend of wrestling, which we will get to in just a minute. But speaking of which, your boy did it. He suffered the gauntlet. He had 3 weeks running of pay-per-view predictions to get correct. And once again, you're now defending champion, reigning defending ONW predictions champion is here again. That's myself.
Well,
yeah,
I wonder where he got that belt from, though.
Yeah.
When I got to give it to you. You did get all 3 of these weeks in a row.
I did.
But,
Yeah, that's...
what was the deciding factor this past weekend?
Well, this past weekend was almost the most decisive victory I've ever had in my my prediction career, as I got 6 of the 7 matches correct. I only got 1 wrong. You, I think, had 4 correct, Matthew, and Duncan, I believe you had 3. So, yeah, I think that's the way it went. Pretty decisive, pretty good victory on your.
I'm pretty sure that I had at least 3.
Well, we'll go through it. We'll go through it. I got the pay. I will have to get the paperwork.
So excited.
I will have to get the paperwork to prove it.
It doesn't really matter
It does
because you
not.
did win.
I did. I did.
We will say that. However,
the only one you got wrong was the main event, right?
That's correct. Yes, the only one I got wrong.
Yeah.
Which
we both got that.
No.
No, I called Moxley.
Yes, he did.
I was confident in that from the very beginning.
Which is fair. Not looking back on it a little bit, I feel like me and Duncan might have been a little bit dumb to predict MJF, if I'm being quite honest. But hey,
it would have been a good time to pull it. I mean, it would have been. I mean, it definitely would have. I just didn't see it the way. You can go back and listen to the last podcast. I recommend you go back and listen to all our podcasts. But I would say that it just didn't feel right. Right now. But MJF's obviously going to fucking get it eventually. Yep. And I don't know. I can't speak to the match because I haven't seen it. Like I said, kind of shaming myself here.
Okay, look, hold on.
In a Pentagon Jr. mask, who is now has a different name because he can't be Pentagon Jr. anymore. You guys know that?
He should. What? I did know that because he hasn't been. Okay, so look.
He's now Penta El Zero
M, which is what he has been outside. Okay, so AAA, the promotion in Mexico, owns Pentagon Jr. Yeah. So anywhere outside of AAA, he is Penta El Zero M. Or
that's why you haven't seen any merch in AEW with his name on it.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, why has it taken so long for this to happen? Like, because he was definitely going under Pentagon Jr., of course, in AEW. So, and there wasn't there some merge? Maybe it didn't have the Pentagon Jr. in it.
It's all Lucha Brothers. It doesn't say Pentagon Jr. And if it does, like even the stuff that I bought in Mexico says Penta El Zero M.
That I did not realize.
Yep. And then so in Lucha Underground, he was Pentagon Dark. So it's always a twist on it because he doesn't. Yeah. So.
But can he go as is it because they do refer to him just as Pentagon a lot on commentary? Maybe that's part of the reason. It's more of a too. Or, I always just assume.
I think they're gonna just refer to him as Penta from now on. Is what I would imagine will happen. They're gonna try and stick with them just referring to him as Penta.
I mean, it's probably a mouthful to say that every single time. You got to shorten it. Is.
But that's what they introduced him at All In, or as at All In. Like when we were there, it was Penta El Zero M. But we just as wrestling fans, we know that it's Pentagon Jr.
Yeah,
right.
So it's one of those. It's sort of like you take somebody to WWE and you put a different name on him, but we all know who he is.
Tyler Black, or what? Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I guess WWE is a bad example because they will hammer out the fact that he was ever Tyler Black.
True.
And we're only going to know that because we're
it's more the other way around. It's more the other way around when a Jake Hager pops up or in AEW or, kind of,
right. Or if Rusev pops up as Miro.
Yeah. Brody Lee perhaps would be another one,
Yeah.
Arguably because people knew him from the indies beforehand as that. So
right.
Let's dive in. That's interesting about Pentagon and or Penta. I mean, that's.
But see, that's the thing is we can call them whatever we want.
That's true.
We're not selling merch, but for them to use the likeness, it has to be Penta El Zero M.
I wonder how that works with masks, with intellectual property, just on the mask side of things.
In Mexico,
is about to get fucked because I'm wearing this and Duncan has the exact same one in the background. Out of all of them, how did I pick the one that you were gonna have in the fucking background?
I don't know, man. It's kind of
wild.
No,
I guess this one's a little different. Never mind.
Yeah, yours is a little shinier.
I give you, that's a blingin' one.
Yeah,
that's a blingin' one. I have, I'm just I should just put a different lucha mask behind me for every episode.
You should. You've got enough of them.
I do.
You really do. That being said, okay. No. I was talking about the mask thing.
I know that in Mexico, copyright and trademark, that sort of thing doesn't really exist because there is fucking outside of Arena Mexico, where is the Madison Square Garden of Lucha Libre, and that's where CMLL runs all their shows. Dude, there are dozens of vendors. And they're all selling these masks and toys and belts and a bunch of shit that I have in my second bedroom.
Unlicensed merch, essentially.
100% unlicensed merch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can't have a copyright, you can't have a license.
Exactly. So it's really interesting. Mexico has always been really, really interesting to me because it's just the fucking bootlegs are just amazing. And I know that Pentagon didn't get any money from that, but right. You know what? The little abuelita that I bought it from did. So, and it's
much cooler on chiclets. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No chicles. Fucking la mascaras. Come on, bring it on. So, it's really interesting because I don't even think the wrestlers inside the arena, if you bought one of the wrestlers' masks that was wrestling that night, he's not going to get the money because the dude, so the vendors in that place all buy the shit first. They invest the money into it and they go selling things, right? So if this dude put 1,000 pesos into buying a fuckload of masks, he's going and hustling up through, and he's just like 100 pesos each, and I'm just like, I'll take 10. Fuck yeah. And then all of my dumb gringo friends are like, I will also take 10. And next thing you know, we paid his mortgage or whatever they have in Mexico. I don't fucking know. Spent 6 months there. I don't know.
Oh, well, let's get into the weekend's events a little bit. We do need to obviously kind of go through All Out and some of the highs and very lows.
I was going to say the highs won't take very long.
Yeah, that the pay-per-view had.
I did want to throw this out there. I don't want to kind of hijack this, but I will since I'm already talking.
I mean, you're wearing a mask, so it's perfect for hijacking.
Yeah, it is. That was a good one. But I will say, when I did just throw it up just a little bit ago, once I went through all my internet bullshit, I did watch the very beginning just to kind of get the feel of the pay-per-view starting and all that sort of stuff, and had completely forgotten that this one was going to have fans. This and
a small number of fans, but
leave it up to fucking Florida. I mean, you guys keep the cases rolling, people.
What was that like?
Keep waving, yeah.
It's like 10% occupancy or something.
Yeah, 10% occupancy of fans.
Yeah.
It's like, I just live here. I don't make the rules.
It's open air. It's in all fairness, it's not that bad. Like, if you were going to go to a wrestling event, I think it might be one of the better options that you could possibly have.
It's the same as like the indie shows running the outdoor gigs. Like, it's completely open. Like, it's covered, but the wind is blowing through the side. It's as open air as you can get for an amphitheater.
It was 10% in one area though. They weren't. They weren't all throughout the up into the top or anything like that.
Yeah, they were.
Were they?
So so the people
went
spread
up
out
like to the mid portion. I did not see them up at the very top.
People maybe not up at the very top, but like the 10% is only going to be,
that middle area,
people here and there.
It's just just the middle area. There was nobody like on the lower bowl. Like, all of them were
except
in the
for the
middle
wrestling
bowl.
talent.
Exactly. They kept them very, very separated. I mean, that's got to be 50 feet at least, between the fans and any of that like enhancement talent or what have you that are down by the ring. But I will say, from the little that I saw, didn't do anything for me. It's interesting you mentioned that, because me and Duncan obviously were watching it live, thanks to you, together, and kind of
Thank you, good brother. We appreciate you.
And texting back and forth about the whole thing. And it the whole show fell very flat for both of us. And it wasn't some of the more tragic events that made that occur, I don't think. It might have played into it. But I don't know that it would have been a great show if none of that would have happened.
Right.
And it started off okay. The cinematic match with Britt Baker and Big Swole was pretty just ridiculous, and I'm a fan of a silly, cinematic match, but I don't know that this one really needed to happen, or that anything of note did happen.
It didn't. It didn't.
Well, they've been building it for a long time too. I mean, ever since Britt Baker's been injured. That's kind of. And I didn't watch it. I saw right as it was about to. It was what a tooth and nail match or something.
Yeah, the tooth and nail match. What the fuck is that? Yeah, was
nothing. Okay.
It was pretty much falls count anywhere, anything goes in a dentist's office.
And I'm sure it was her dentist office in Winter Park, 10 minutes from here that they shot that at. One can only assume.
Yeah. It was just not very... I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. I like Big Swole. I like Britt Baker, but it was just like, okay.
Did that open the show? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, the official show. I'm trying to remember what was on pre-show. We had a private party. I don't even know. God, no, wasn't SCU? No, wasn't.
I don't know. I did jump through just a little bit, and so from what I saw of the card, just jumping through, it was Britt Baker, Big Swole, Then after that, it was Young Bucks, Jurassic Express. Which you should have fucking opened with that. I feel like because you got like that would have brought the energy up like super hard. You know,
couldn't agree with you more there. I think that they dropped the ball on that, and it also wasn't like such a tremendous Young Bucks, you know, match. Like it was a good match, but it wasn't. Of course, it wasn't the best match that you know of the night or the by any means. Like the Bucks can do a lot better. In my mind, it was
a good,
perfectly serviceable.
Tag.
Yeah,
it was an indie tag match.
It was, I think so.
Is definitely what it was, and that's okay because that's what a lot of fans want. Like you get the traditional tag matches with FTR later, ish, and then you get the indie spot fest with the Bucks and Lucha Express, and Jurassic Express, which I enjoyed, and I'm glad that happened.
One of the things that we all kind of have learned about that cinematic match at the beginning to open the show was there were reasons they did it in the fact that Britt Baker's probably not 100% done with her injury, that she's still kind of recovering from, was it broken leg or broken something in her leg? And then the nose
something
thing,
and a nose job
and the nose thing. Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. I don't give a shit. Do what you want to do.
The Nova,
you're fucking adult.
The Novocaine thing was kind of funny to end it. I understand why Big Swole won. At the same time, maybe they're just holding off on Britt Baker, that push that I think will come down the line because they realize
I think it'll come when she's
healthy.
She was going there, once she's fully healed.
When she's healed. That's sort of the problem is she's not in a position to get that push right now. So Swole kind of had to win.
No, that's fair.
And we also forgot the opening of the pre-show was Joey Janela and Serpentico.
That was what I was actually trying to remember. Yeah, I always love me some Joey, and I saw some backlash in our Facebook thread. Talking shit about Joey, and I'm gonna tell you, you're fucking wrong.
What are they talking shit about?
They're just like,
what are these jabronis saying?
Cornetting it up, like not real wrestling, all this like typical bullshit. Like, nah, lighten up.
Okay, first of all, we're going to get to some not real wrestling, I guess, later.
Yes.
Right?
And they never said anything about that either.
And for the fucking record, I don't know, it is wrestling. It's just a different type of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And how many dumbass gimmicks did Cornette come up with that never got over? So, whatever. And the match that Joey Janela and Serpentico had on the buy-in, it was fine. It was a good match. It was a
pre-show
ridiculous
match. It was a pre-show match. It deserved to be on the pre-show.
But it wasn't like trying to do anything crazy. Like, yes, did Joey Janela wrestle a blow-up doll? Like, yeah, he did. And
so did Kenny.
Well, but that's the thing is like people that don't see the humor in that and are like, oh my God, it's killing the business. It's just like, so the fuck what? Like that part of the business doesn't really exist anymore.
No, exactly. Like the kayfabe world that you once grew up with is gone. Like that is not part of what we enjoy anymore. If anything, we like to see it broken or acknowledge that we're intelligent enough to know what we're watching. It's not all, it's not real. Yeah, we get it. That's part of why we enjoy it.
And that's the thing is like, so when you break kayfabe and like you make wrestling ridiculous, when it is real, we bite into it a lot harder.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more. And Joey can actually wrestle as well. Like, let's not forget that. Like, he can do all the hardcore shit, but he can actually wrestle. And I enjoyed seeing him, this week. I thought it was a good showing. What I will say too is like, has he always gone back and forth? Because you'll know this more. Both of you will know this more than me. has he gone back and forth between like stereotypical wrestling trunks and what I would call trousers or pants? Has he always gone flipped and flopped? Because on Dynamite, he wore
trunks or tights, I think, is what you're.
When I call trunks are like the Speedo trunks.
Yeah,
like that's what
trunks.
I'm calling trunks.
And then tights are the long pants.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah. So tights or trunks. Like, has he always flip flop between those? Because I thought it was interesting that he had the match on Jericho the week before. This no one cares, but this has no bearing on anything. But yeah, he was maybe because he was against Jericho, he wore the trunks, and then following week he's back in tights. I don't know if he's always gone back and forth, but I've only ever seen them in tights.
I feel like I've seen him in tights way more often, but I've definitely seen him in trunks before.
Yeah, the first time I saw him, he was in trunks. He was in trunks at Bar Wrestling.
I don't know but I wonder. I don't know. I've actually always wondered that with wrestlers, like why they choose one over the other, or if they choose. I mean, we all know Cena didn't want people to see his dick. He's outright said that. That's why he wore jorts.
Wore jorts.
But other than that, I mean, I've always kind of wondered what was the or if someone else had a say in it behind the scenes, like character development, anything like that. And they're like, this is kind and like costume design, that sort of stuff. They're like, this is kind of what you're wearing. And you're like,
yeah, no, the one I mean, bring it up specifically with this example because Joey Janela's hair, when it's normal as well, he's got more of a ponytail. It's very similar to Chris Jericho's hair, and like in its own way. And that night he also had like these weird like pigtaily things. So is it like Jericho's gonna wear the tights or pants? He's going to be in trunks, like maybe to differentiate them in the ring a little bit more. Like that was my thought behind it. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but
I think that none of us know enough about the business to know if that's true or not. And I could see that 100%, especially Jericho being like, hey kid, got anything that's going to make you stand out?
That was my thought. And I wonder, and we'll get to this later, if that plays into maybe Jericho's, next feud, which, I could see it being someone like a Joey Janela. I feel like that might actually kind of work. But, yeah, they just had the match, but what if? Like, because Joey kind of went the distance in that, and you could make the argument that a rematch now would sort of work. But we'll get there. What are your highlights from the pay-per-view, Duncan, as far as the good stuff? Let's start with the good stuff, and then we'll get to the bad.
Oh, yeah, because it'll take less time.
Yeah.
So the good stuff, honestly, man, like the women's title match was the highlight of the night for me.
Match of the night, for sure.
Yeah, I think that match was, as far as
technical
being a good wrestling match,
good storytelling,
story. Yeah, had action, wasn't boring. Like it was the match that AEW's women's division needed to have.
Yes,
I also thought that like it made Thunder Rosa look really good. Like
great in defeat, and but
yeah, it put the NWA title over without having to lose too much shine on the women's title for AEW.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was good. Matthew, you actually watched that one.
I actually watched it. I thought it was actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was entertained thoroughly throughout the entire match. There were a couple of really good spots. Couple where I went like that for a second just because it looked like it was going to get botched for a second, but it didn't, thank God. Just like going up, there was one where Sheeta had her like in the corner outside of the ring on the entrance ramp and was like trying to get her up, and she was kind of like flailing her legs to get up on the top rope to do something, I know there were just a couple of moments there, but all in all, like there was some really good technical aspects of it. Really good back and forth mat work, kind of grappling style wrestling. Like I said, good big spots. It is, to your point, Duncan, it's what the AEW. It's what the AEW women's division needed, and we kind of said that as we were doing predictions and everything like that. It was kind of like, well, what are like, or in this needs to be something, which is why I thought that
Thunder Rosa
Shida was going to lose. It
right.
was going to lose the title.
Same.
It was, and I thought that that's kind of what was needed. I'm pleasantly surprised that they did it the way that they did. And
yeah, it works. It works.
It works, and it makes her look really, really strong. So I hope they keep pushing that. I guess are they building to another match between them?
It feels likely, doesn't it? It feels like, and we'll talk. I've got this in my notes to talk about a little bit later with NWA Power starting back up.
Mm-hmm.
Now it would make sense to have Shida go across and return the favor for NWA Power, which I would be all for. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful idea. I'll also say as a quick sidebar, I really like the look of that NWA Women's Championship. Like, the title itself is a good looking belt. And I kind of dig, I know other belts and in the past have done the picture of the wrestler on the belt. Like, it seems like, it's a thing that you could probably slide in and slide out, right? Like, the champion can have their picture on the belt. I think that's kind of cool. And I kind of, it was the first time I've really noticed that, and Thunder Rosa, gave me more of a respect for that championship. She did everything. She did wonders for NWA in having this crossover. So I think it was a really smart idea by both companies, kind of having a little bit of shine on both. And again, that's part of my reason for it being match of the night, because it told a story not only in the ring, but kind of outside the ring, and for something for us to expect or be excited about in the future of women's wrestling when it comes in terms of NWA and, with AEW. So great success in my mind. I thought the finish was the correct one. But the show, no, we'll get to the bad parts later. Hold on. We'll storm through the good ones first, I think.
Yeah, what's okay, and then
so I will say really quickly, when Thunder Rosa was wrestling, I forget who said it. It had to have been Excalibur who said it, I would think. When he said, when she won the NWA Women's Championship, she also won within the same month the Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling International Princess Championship.
Yes, she did. Yes, that was Excalibur.
Goes, wait, say that again?
Yeah.
I actually rewound it because he was like, wait, what? Can you repeat that? The what?
That's classic Excalibur.
The Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling International Princess Championship?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, I had to throw it out there because I actually did a double take. When he said that, I was like, oh, he really had no idea.
Well, I'm not sure if, Duncan, you sent the same bingo card to Matthew as you did me for the for All Out.
No, I didn't. The All Out bingo.
The All Out bingo. There's one slot on there that I think we'd all. It's like a drinking game bingo, right? Like drink a drink if this
it's
happens.
It's the All Out drinking game.
Yeah, but it's like a bingo card type deal. And the funniest one for me on that was every time Excalibur mentions a move you've never heard of or something like that.
Yep.
You motherfucker, because he does that, and his wrestling knowledge is wonderful, we all know it, but sometimes I'm like, are you just making ones up now? Are you
yeah,
it doesn't
we would
matter.
Never know.
Even if he is, right? You would never know. That's how good fucking Excalibur is.
Yeah,
and nice to have him back.
Also, how does he or anyone else wear these fucking masks all the time? I've been typing things in and looking things up, and I'm like, I can't. I'm misspelling things on the fucking keyboard. I don't.
And his have the fucking mesh in the eyes that you can't see too. That's
the bug eye thing. I don't know, man. I've made it 30 minutes into this episode, and it's about to come off.
I'm proud of you. You can. Yeah, you have my respect.
I'm gonna be demasked. You know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What if? Oh my. Oh.
He's hideous. He's a monster.
No, it is a good point. I wonder that often as well. And even more to that point, it seems it would be harder with what Rey Mysterio has been doing lately with like the one eye, because you feel
your
like
depth perception.
Yes, exactly. Your depth perception would be completely off.
Even if you can kind of see it a little bit, I feel like even if they're doing the mesh and it's a dark mesh, there's still some level of depth perception or fuckery going on, right?
Yes, it's gotta be 100%.
That also shows how good Rey Mysterio is.
Yeah. So good other points in the card. The battle royale was okay. It was fine. It was fine. It was again a little underwhelming.
Serviceable. And like as soon as it started, I was like, "Fuck, Lance Archer is gonna win." And I just I don't know. I'm like, I just don't like Lance Archer.
I'm with you.
He just doesn't do anything for me. Like I want him to. Like I want to be like Murder Hawk. Fuck yeah! And I'm just like,
I really liked the promos. I really liked the promos he had coming in with being in that backwoods
before he actually debuted the build for him was great.
I thought those were great. Those were super high, and then it didn't transition over that. I don't know, that Murder Hawk nastiness of that character didn't transition to live TV or tape TV as well as I thought it could have. I don't know the reason.
I think it's fans.
I wonder if I was gonna say I think it might be fans, just because if you have someone coming in and just plowing people over, you have a lot of people cheering or jeering him. That's gonna make a difference.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he go again? Did he go for the TNT Championship?
Yeah, he lost to Cody.
See, and that's the thing is you can't. Once again, you just kind of shit on him right away by having him build him up to be a monster, and then he loses to Cody. Yeah, it was a good match, but
that would also be the reason why, logically in my mind, he's not going to beat Jon Moxley with winning this, this opportunity, but it's the only way to give him that opportunity in a logical sense, because why would we, put him if he's just lost for the mid-card title? And I don't care what AEW says, by the way. It's a mid-card title. That's what it is. They are trying to hold the TNT title in the same esteem as Pretty Platinum or whatever.
All of our titles are on the same level.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They're not.
No, they don't. Just look at the two belts and you can tell that. That's all you really fucking need.
And granted, the belt now with the gold accent is much better than it was when it was just silver, but it's still okay. I think it needs a black strap.
If it had a black strap, it would be totally fine. It would be a good looking belt, but no, with that red strap does not work for me. We said it even when the Universal Championship got debuted. The red strap thing just doesn't play.
The blue strap thing for that
both
matter
ugly.
right now.
Ugly.
Yeah.
I don't like any colored strap, right?
I don't mind.
I've seen green before. What is the green one?
PWG.
Though? Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
When Warrior had the winged eagle that had the yellow strap on it, or the IC title with the yellow strap on it.
That was okay.
Cool.
That was cool.
IC white.
I like IC white.
I was okay with that one. I like that one.
I go back and forth on it. I think it's been overused. I'd like to have just seen the old design recently. They just debuted the new IC title, which isn't that bad, but I would have liked to have just seen the old design just put back on black. I like it for certain people. To me, that one should be a heel move. You have the white strap, which sounds weird, but it's a little bit more it works, I guess, for certain people. Maybe it's not a heel babyface thing, but The Miz looks good with the white strap. There's other people that I don't know that it suits as well. Weirdly, like it's kind of a per wrestler deal.
I miss the old WWF tag team belts.
Yeah, the weird copper, like, well, they're
the
not
copper
anymore,
and
but
silver ones that had like the eagle up at the top, and then they were sort of like rectangular-ish. The ones that like Demolition and the Heart Foundation had.
Not the Spartan belts, as I guess we would call them, right? Like
the pennies, I think.
Yeah, the pennies, the Spartans. Either way, other good points about All Out. I thought the Mimosa Mayhem match actually delivered. I think it was a great way to end the feud. I thought that it put Cassidy over tremendously. I think it did the right thing. I think they built it. I think the experiment worked. If that's what it indeed was, which Jericho has kind of said it was kind of an experiment to see if we can elevate Cassidy to this next level. I don't want to see Cassidy all the time with like the super fire, because I think you take away from part of what made him special in the first place. Like, he's got to kind of have like his, chill demeanor and going
the whatever gimmick.
Yeah.
I feel like this has got to be like, now he's got to kind of go back to that.
Yeah.
He, like, Jericho pushed him and pulled that out of him. So like, you can now see in that character, there's a side of him that can do this and will do it. F enticed and F pushed to, over the line. If someone crossed the line, rather. But I think you are doing his character a disservice. I mean, obviously there's so much talk, people in the business who just haven't liked Orange Cassidy because of the gimmick and what he's done. I did listen to that Eddie Kingston interview as I was moving over the past weekend. Actually, it was a really good interview.
Really good.
With Jericho, right?
With Jericho. And he did mention, offhand about, Orange Cassidy, and he was like, a lot of some of the boys, he's like, just don't like him just because. And he's like, and I think now you can see, they've seen like, okay, he can actually do it. But I think it doesn't have to be for the boys. Like, he's done it and proved it. It's for the fans and for the gimmick and for the character. So now rope it back in, still keep him prominent. But like, if we're gonna see little bits of that, like, I want to see it in quick spurts, like he used to show.
Yep.
And that's it. Like the last live event I went to, which was the second to last one before the pandemic hit, was that Dynamite, and he was there, and he came out, wrestled, but then he came out at the end, and I think it was for Dark maybe, but he kind of turned it up for 2-3 minutes after that, and then it was done. It was like, that was the perfect amount, because he had the whole other Orange Cassidy gimmick the entire night. Then it was like 2-3 minutes on, and then back to being this nonchalant, don't give a fuck, and I think now you've kind of told the story with him, you've developed the character, but he doesn't need to stay up here. You need to idle him back.
And the match was cool. Me and Duncan were going back and forth. I'm like, do you think this one's pre-recorded, especially because of the setup that would be required to have those hot tubs or whatever they were, those pools of mimosa or orange-looking drink on the either side of the ring. And I think we were both convinced that it was indeed.
Well, you had pointed out that it didn't say live.
It didn't say live, which a lot of the other matches did.
Were they showing a lot of crowd reaction? Because the only reason I ask that is because they did have live fans. So I would think that by now it would have gotten out.
Would have to go back and watch. I can't.
It would have gotten out if someone was there and it was live, even if you signed a waiver. That
would.
A friend of a friend of a friend, someone on the internet, like, has said they did cuts and went back.
I won't say her name, but you know who I'm talking to, who works for AEW. I was, chatting with her after, like, literally hours after the show, and she swore, like, I asked her straight up, was that live? And she said she not only said it to me personally, but she said it to on Tony Schiavone's post-show podcast. She was on that as well. I hope that doesn't give too much away. But yes,
you want people to know.
She did, but she did say that it was indeed live, and she was really proud of the crew for being able to execute that. So I will say, like, if that is the case, then kudos to whoever pulled that off.
I mean, I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you can put all of that on wheels.
Yep.
Right?
That's must have what they did.
And they have access to just kind of wheel them both out and around and just get them out of camera shot, and we'll deal with it later.
That
so
probably
kudos
what happened.
to them, like, because I mean that it does take a good crew to do that. So I will give them mad props for that, because I know how much of a bitch it is to be under a time restraint when it comes to doing a quick change.
And honestly, I think the whole timing of the pay-per-view was a little bit wonky as it is, and we'll get to that why that is, in just
I mean, I think we have to talk about why it is. Like,
we will in just a second. We'll just finish up with the good parts of the pay-per-view.
Oh, that was it.
That was really kind of it. I mean, it was a good match between Jericho and Orange Cassidy. It did have, of course, the gimmick.
That's what I'm saying. But
it wasn't the best of the feud.
I thought
it probably was. It probably was the best of the
gimmick
feud
match. Yeah, like it was to end the feud. I thought it was good. Like it was a good match to watch.
Yeah.
However, having slogged through the match before, it just I didn't have any energy in me for it.
And that's even weirdly start there. That's even weird, because I know that's middle of the pay-per-view, Duncan. But this is one that you expected, or we both expected, with the talent in the ring,
I think,
for it to be an absolute barn burner, a match.
Yeah, I was expecting that to be a banger.
This could easily, in my mind, have turned out to be a 5-star match, on the Meltzer scale.
Should have been a 5-star match.
Yeah,
should have been they gave him a half an hour. That's more than enough time for those guys to put on a really good match.
Yep.
And
the match we're talking about, by the way, is the Kenny Omega Hangman Page tag team match against FTR. That's the match that we're talking about.
From what I read, it seemed like it, and I have not watched that match, but it's from what I read, the reviews were saying that as much as you guys, like you said, it should have been a barn burner. The finish was good, but it just went way too long.
It was just underwhelming.
It just kept going and going.
Dude, I will say,
for it to continue to go.
I will say, even from the beginning, none of it felt like they didn't click. As far as me watching it, it did not feel like either of those teams clicked together in the ring. Every spot felt like nothing felt fluid. Nothing felt like good pro wrestling. And
the story was not being told as well.
Yeah.
They could execute moves that were clicking here and there, but there wasn't the story. There wasn't this kind of back and forth.
No pull.
No pull. And it really depresses me because I love every single person in that ring. I want them to have an amazing goddamn match, especially as two tag teams. I want them to, we could all see the writing on the wall that this was probably the last time that Kenny and Hangman Page would be champions, and they would be moving on after this.
But
we could all see that.
Aside.
That aside, I still felt like it just it floated. It was okay. If it was on WWE TV on Monday Night Raw, we'd all be like, that was probably one of the better Monday Night Raw tag team matches we've ever seen. But not what you've come to expect from tag team wrestling on a pay-per-view with AEW.
Especially for them, putting so much of a premium and hyping up how important tag team wrestling is.
Yes.
And dude, and I'll tell you that I was maybe I'm being too harsh on it. And then the next morning I looked on Twitter and it was Dax, I think, maybe Cash, had tweeted 1-star rating, 6-star pay or 6-figure paycheck. And I'm just you know what? Fuck you, man. You're just gonna, and I know you're playing into the gimmick, right? Like
I was
you're
gonna
healing
say,
it
yeah,
up.
that's a fucking good heel.
That
That's
is
a
a
great
good heel
heel
move, but he's
Yeah.
good. But you're also at that same time, aren't you acknowledging the fact that I didn't have a great match last night, and they're probably as pissed off about it as
maybe
the fans.
but,
Like maybe they're disappointed in
also
themselves.
Yeah, but they're also the ones that ride that line of, you know, we use our social media for shoot stuff, and you know what I mean? Like there's that whole thing. It's like, well, which one is it? Right.
Right.
Like,
With them, it feels like if there's any team out there that's going to continue up the kayfabe, it would be them.
Yeah.
But so
And-
yeah, which way you pulling on that?
But yeah, I still think, right, that no, even if, okay, haha, you're healing it up. It's like you still shouldn't be proud of the fact that you legitimately had a 1-star match.
It was probably a 2.
With all of that talent in the ring.
Yeah.
No, given who's in the ring,
you shouldn't
that's a
be
1-star match. Like that's
It is a good heel comment. It is a good heel comment. It's a great fucking troll. It's a great fucking troll. We'll give that. But I will say the reality of it, 100%. Duncan, I agree. It's like like to be able to say that with that amount of talent in the ring.
And when you're bragging about the money, obviously, like that's that's where it sort of changes.
Yeah, it really was.
And no way you got paid 6 figures. Come on.
No, definitely not. But I will say 100% that was the worst match of the night, in my opinion. Even setting aside Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara's fuckery. As far as actual matches that happened, I'm like, that match was the worst.
I guess if you take the cinematic match out of there, I would probably have to agree.
Like that doesn't even count to me because that was bullshit too.
Yeah, I which is so weird that we're saying that about like that match that should have been so good. Now, we'll rewind.
I feel weird saying this because you guys have said it from the beginning. You guys kind of let me know.
And sorry to spoil it too much.
No. I read everything, so you guys are not spoiling anything. I also needed to be prepared to talk about all this stuff, but like I said earlier, off air and Gorilla, I was like, I couldn't watch just because I was moving and all this other, and I just haven't, like, if I'm gonna sit down and watch, like, I wanted to sit down and watch it. I fucking paid money, like, I want to sit down and watch it. So but I went 24 hours not getting on the internet, and you just can't sustain that in this day and age.
No.
Even if you're generally trying to look at like news in the world, and like we said earlier, you know, it's like even the algorithms that are fucking feeding my news feed on smart news and shit like that on my app, it's all wrestling. So I see and so I kind of just, I knew it was going to happen. And so I started, and then I went on Facebook and I started reading through the comments.
You put the pieces together. And
and then I went to Bleacher and I read the grades and reviews. I went to Sports Illustrated. I went, What Culture, like I did read through all of that stuff just like, cause I can do that in minutes as opposed to watching it, when I have a few minutes here and there.
Exactly.
But I will say it's kind of funny because I have to travel for work tomorrow. And so I'll be in Columbus, Ohio. And so tomorrow night when I get to the hotel, I feel like it's going to be like this weird sadomasochist thing that I'm going to sit there and actually watch this pay-per-view that everyone's been hating on alone in a hotel in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, I got to watch this because I paid for it. But I know it's going to be shit, but I got to punish myself to do it.
Yep.
It's still
might as well do it in Columbus.
It's still entertaining.
I was gonna say, and you have to fly to Ohio to punish yourself because that's actually a punishment in and of itself. Sorry, not sorry, Ohio. Fuck you.
So, Duncan, help me out here because I'm trying to remember the order of the pay-per-view because now I know we started kind of talking in the middle of the thing here.
Yep, we went Big Swole and Britt Baker in the cinematic match. Then we went Young Bucks, Jurassic Express. Then the Battle Royale, Lance Archer won. We got
to Broken Matt. Okay, okay.
So then we got to Broken Rules, which you're calling Broken Matt, which is appropriate as fuck.
Yes, true. It is actually.
It was okay. Not to ruin anything for you, Matthew. I obviously.
I've read all of it. Actually, I saw the clips on Twitter. That was the one thing. Also, I didn't turn Twitter notifications off. The only reason I have Twitter is to follow wrestlers. So the only things I get pop up are wrestling things. And I do get a lot of indie wrestlers, which is fine because they don't talk about any of that. But I did like wake up and see, and I was like, clear. Like, don't
right,
look.
just try to not
yeah.
look. Yep. Dude, it was the first goddamn spot of the match.
Yeah. The first goddamn spot. I actually had to rewind it because I'm like, this entrance will take a minute. I'll go outside and have a smoke, you know? And I missed it. And I had to literally rewind to see the spot at the time that it, to see it as it happened. So I was confused. Like I went outside, I had to smoke because I thought the entrances were going to be longer.
And I texted you.
Yeah. And then, my phone blew up with Facebook notifications and the group and from you. And yeah, like then I saw it happen. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, man.
This no good. This is first spot of the match.
The first spot of the match. Oh. And dude, like, okay, so looking at it, I know what they were going for.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were going for, you go out of the back of the scissor lift, the tables break the fall. Either one of two things happen. Having extensive experience with scissor lifts as you and I have.
Yes, we do.
They either went up too high, and so when they cleared, their trajectory took them only halfway that they needed to go.
It's basic physics.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Or the tables were too close regardless.
It's one of...
Or a combination of the two.
Combination of the two, exactly. Yeah.
Either way, like, look, you had two tables there. That's fucking 4-6 feet.
Can you, just because you guys are like tech guys and like unlike me and stuff like that, could you gimmick a scissor lift so when you hit the hydraulic on it, like it stops at a certain height?
Yes. Absolutely.
Like, I wonder.
You could put some form of a governor on it to where it could a limiter on it.
But the problem is that if that's a rental, which it was.
Yep.
It's a lot more difficult to go in and do something like that because, as far as I know, I don't know if there's a way to do it without putting like a physical, like making it so that it.
You don't think that Jacksonville Jaguars own one?
I'm sure.
They might,
no, a lot of those, like a lot of these places, even the big ones, like they might own
they do
one.
It through a they know
always through a bigger.
They don't own it. They do it because they pay a company that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah, they're on the hook for everything.
Yeah.
What Duncan is saying is actually correct. In the situation that they were in, the way that you could probably do it on the cheap and not void warranties of the actual machine would have to be something physical, like a ratchet strap in the right place to sort of like prevent it, to convent. Yes.
Tension.
Like something like so that.
Yeah.
A physical
and then you have to
thing.
hope that they notice it, and then
not easy to do. Not easy.
Or not something that you're gonna do without potentially damaging the machine.
That's it. Like if they own the machine, they might be able to get away with something more like that. But that is something that's not typical at all in that machine world.
Right.
And I think that you're absolutely right, Duncan. I just don't think they judge whoever it was. Like they just didn't judge the height to the table to the fall correctly. And Matt's, I'm sure you've seen the bump now, Matthew.
Yeah.
That head hitting that concrete is, it's sickening, really. You know, it was
dude,
like
when you watch Aubrey immediately throw up the X. She's like, no, there's no, because she would have been standing like 3 feet away and heard that thud.
That clunk,
dude. And a skull hitting against concrete is a very specific noise. If you've never heard it,
it literally just gave me chills thinking about it. Like you saying it though, like it is that sickening.
It's also God, it's also one of those things where like they did the concussion protocol, and from everything I've read, it was like a minute, which I'm not quite sure how you do that. Tony Khan did come out, I know, afterwards at the end in the press conference and say no, and like Matt Hardy could not have overridden the doctor, but then think it was CM Punk even, as much as I don't like the guy, but like, I mean, even he was tweeting like, a concussion protocol takes more than 1 minute.
And that's the big argument that I have with it. Like I saw Tony, I was watching that Tony Khan, press thing live after the show. And when he was saying it, like, you kind of feel a little bit better. Tony Khan has a pretty, like, calming vibe about him. And you kind of just like, all right, yeah, Tony wants the best for his employees and all this.
Tony won't lie to us.
His family's worth $1 billion. Buy the scissor lift, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Just buy it and gimmick it. Like, all right, you've had the chair fuck up. Now you've had the scissor lift fuck up. Let's not have a fucking triple threat
You're
here.
not wrong.
And I don't think he's malicious when he's saying it. I think that he's just probably ill-informed with how, I guess, concussion protocols should go. Like you said, there is no possible way within the span of 30 seconds to a minute that you can have a doctor run out there. I mean, what did he do? Just hold up 3 fingers? How many am I holding? What day of the week it is? What's your name?
Give me a too sweet.
Yeah, give me a too sweet. Give me a
what's
delete.
Your gimmick right
give me
now?
a delete.
But so give me a delete. But so that then leads the question, like, when you think of, and I'm not like a huge football fan, don't watch football, but I have watched football and I have seen stoppage due to a major hit, right? And that player get back up and play. But dude, that's the reason why football takes for fucking ever. Like, because there's stops all the time, but stoppage with someone with a head injury, especially like that's possible concussion. I feel like they go to like a really long commercial break, come back, show replays, are talking, they're looking at things, that's right, go to another commercial. It's way more than a minute. And that's
a lot longer than a minute. And
that's someone who's wearing a fucking helmet.
I will
and
also.
Here's what happened.
Please go ahead.
In my opinion, right? Like, Matt was out. He was out, and Aubrey called for the match to stop. However, they knew, right? Like, and then he tried to get up and tried to continue. They knew that the problem was if it was any other stipulation, right? Like, unfortunately, the stipulation was if Matt Hardy loses, he leaves AEW. You can't end the match with Matt Hardy unable to continue because it's a fucking last man standing match. So he would have by default lost the match. So they had to figure out a way, right? Like that, so that that's what they did. And Matt was like, no, we have to get to the finish. That it was Matt as much as anybody else.
Yeah,
it was. I'm sure it was.
But couldn't they have just been like, dude, just lay there. We're gonna have Sammy jump and you roll. And Sammy hits and you roll back over.
And that's why they could have, but they ran straight down to where the finish
is gonna be.
The gimmick table was for that. Also, first of all, that truss is way too big to try and be climbing any fucking way. Like, what are you doing?
And not even horizontal truss. It's all diagonal. Like, it was all.
No, that's some dumb shit that you're not.
Stop it. That's not the side
you're not supposed to climb.
No,
none of that truss has a side you're supposed to climb.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what I'm
trying to say.
Yeah. So like,
he was slipping all over it. Like when he was.
So was Sammy, and so like Matt and Sammy both were, and that's not the only slip that happened during the night, because there was a pretty bad one during the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
So like
Matt
Sydal, dude, and like he's good. That's the thing, is Matt Sydal is fucking clean. Like he is
Evan Bourne back in the day, right?
Yeah. And like, so
humidity had played a factor into, I think, both of those situations. I definitely think like it was scary as hell watching Matt and Sammy climb that truss tower, which they shouldn't be climbing in the first place, and
it's wrestling and rules don't matter.
And knowing like you could see him slipping, and just the humidity, you could almost see the beads of like condensation on those metal rings
on the
truss. And I can only, further that exactly the same must have happened with Matt Sydal in, you know, his debut with AEW in the Battle Royal and, you know, fucking up the Shooting Star press. But he, you know,
it was funny because you were like, nice introduction, jabroni, and I was just like, you have no idea who this fucking dude is.
I did as soon as I knew that it was Evan Bourne. I knew exactly who it was. I just didn't know his new name. So, but I'm like, I think what I said is like, oh, yeah, nice debut, botch face. Like
his brother, I've seen quite a few times in Rocky Mountain Pro out here in Denver. Mike Siddell, the yoga monster or something like that.
Nice. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's his brother. He wrestles out here.
Yeah, so that was one downside of it being outside is the humidity was really high. So the ropes were definitely, like, you could tell that shit was slippery. And then also in the Battle Royal, that fucking the unnecessary as shit body bag spot.
Oh, Brian Cage.
Yeah, Matthew, did you see this one at all?
I didn't.
This
I read, but I actually didn't watch it. But I did because I was gonna watch it eventually. But I did because in the review on Bleacher Report, it had the whole thing.
It's a weird one because it hasn't got the amount of attention I think it kind of deserves. Probably just overshadowed by the Matt Sydal thing, by the Matt Hardy thing, right? Like these are things that probably overshadowed the spot, and we're used to seeing Darby take horrendous spots, you know, at times. But this just, it felt awful. We've seen him be thrown in the body bag with the thumbtacks before. Yeah, okay, we know he can handle that. But the way that Brian Cage sort of just tossed him like a sack of potatoes, and not, like, I would imagine if you're in that body bag, you can't control, like, you can't see how you're going to land. You can't really control
No, it's
how
all
you're
trust.
land.
And he's done those body bag those body bag spots before, but that, from what I read, was, I think the exact quote was like, that was tough to watch.
It was very tough to watch. Because you saw, and dude, like, they threw him out and I couldn't tell, and they never really showed a replay. I'm like, did he fucking hit his head and neck on the stairs?
I have a weird feeling that because he was that close, man. Like, if he
dude, it was real close.
So fucking Darby, man, that guy. So at that Dynamite that I was at, that's where he and Jericho wrestled, and he did a tope suicida through the ropes, and Jericho hit him with the Judas effect.
The Judas
outside,
effect,
and like he fucking like got concussed, and I remember I was sitting at that front row, and it was on the entrance ramp, but I was on the side, and I remember like Sue was like, I think he's fucking hurt, and I was like, no, it's like they're just. I was like, you've said that a million times before tonight. They're just fucking acting, like, well, but then they brought him over right in front of us, and I actually still have the videos. And he's right in front of me on the ground, and his like fingers are fucking twitching.
Ugh.
And like the doctors are all checking on him, and like he was not okay. And he was out of action for a few weeks after that, and they ended up sending him to the hospital. So I can only imagine in a body bag, like you're saying, Owen, like how do you even prep yourself for a spot other than I get in this position, whether it's like, like, or ready to flat back it or something like that, as much as you possibly can within, that, then you got to trust it. And Brian Cage is fucking strong motherfucker. So I haven't seen it, but I can only imagine throwing Darby Allin like a sack of fucking potatoes.
What he should have done was just pick him up and power bomb him out. He picked him up and did like the spinning toss out.
Yeah,
like
the spin
was
toss.
The spinning
with a rotation.
I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, like it would, dude. It was fucking just like he needed him out. He was yoked out of the ring.
It looked irresponsible, is what it is.
It did, and I'm a fan of Brian Cage, but I'm like, God damn, bro.
I'm not so much anymore. I'm gonna be quite honest. Like, I'm definitely gonna need to get that trust repaired a little bit because that didn't feel very.
Well, I'm glad that it didn't feel great because you were in the body bag.
Well, I'm just yeah.
I know, but like
I feel for the dude. I don't feel like it's.
I do too.
That
but
shouldn't
also,
happen. That shouldn't happen in the world of professional wrestling. Like you should have the common sense to not
Okay,
hurt somebody like that.
You're arguing common sense when it comes to being put in a body bag with thumbtacks.
This is fair.
That's not really like a conversation that I think can exist.
Well. I am glad
That's
though.
rough. I just watched it a couple of times.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, right? Not the
like. Why didn't he just pick it? He just did a.
Like Duncan said, he could have just easily power bombed him, picked him up.
He did like a. He flicked. It was like a.
He flung
like
him. Like
he flung him, which threw his head and shit back. Like he didn't slam him. He flung him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
that's rough.
Yeah, that was another black mark. So we had all of these like leading towards like the end of the pay-per-view, right? Like we've had
that
shit's too funny.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And he even said he's just like, I'll bring out a whole new moveset next time. Fuck it. Like he's taking it in stride, like
which I love. I love, and honestly, it's scary as hell when we saw it live, because that could have really gone like very poorly, right? And he could have. Thankfully, didn't land completely on its head.
I think we can all think one other shooting star press that was botched much worse than that one. That one, thank God his arm hit the rope.
God damn,
because his arm hitting the rope is what I think stopped him from
doing that full.
Yeah,
because he'd have snapped that shit if he hadn't caught his arm.
And I don't want to see that even with him.
No, like, I don't want to see it with fucking anyone.
That's just not the way it worked. But ultimately, like that really is like the basis of this, I guess, all out type of like review, in the sense that it did have a bit of a black cloud over it. There was something about this evening of wrestling that just didn't.
It's funny though, because the women's match was right after Matt and Sammy's train wreck.
No, I thought it wasn't it before?
Yeah, no, it was after.
No, it was after.
I'm sorry.
But like the fact that managed to be match of the night, but then you had the 8-man tag next,
and
that was very like, okay.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, so that one is the one that I've heard the least about, and I know I got that one wrong. I was going full on Dark Order, so I'd love to hear, like I've read, just bits and pieces here and there. But out of everything, there were so many things, I think, overshadowing this match. I would love to hear what you guys thought.
It was serviceable. You could tell that it's leading to Colt Cabana and probably Evil Uno splitting from the Dark Order. But
I didn't think of that. That's a good point. Yeah, the two of them were together at the end of that, right? And then they kind of went off together. That would be, they could be a fun tag team together or something if they wanted to.
It was like, dude, it was a decent match. Matt Cardona was flying teabagging people left and right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, radio silence.
Captain Teabag.
Yeah, but he's literally just like dropping his nuts in people's face.
That's what he does.
It's what he does. And so like that was okay. It was a serviceable 8-man tag.
Dustin's the shit. Man,
Dustin's great.
Are they setting up a TNT match, Dustin and Brody Lee?
Dustin and Brody. Dustin earned, quote unquote, the championship match that night.
Are they doing it on what? They're not doing it this Wednesday, are they? Hopefully not.
I think so.
Are they? They might be. I don't know. I have to look that up.
So I have to sit in a hotel room in Columbus and watch Dynamite and fucking All Out.
Well, you're gonna also have to check out.
If I never make it back, you guys know why.
Yeah.
I get found in the fucking.
God.
You're also gonna have to watch NXT that's happening or has already happened, done right now. So like there is that too, like which that's gonna be interesting. I feel like I know who won, but there we go. Like that'll just be something we
You want to put your title on the line for it?
Ooh.
I think it's Finn Balor. I didn't ever say I was going to put my title on the line. Nah, I saw something that might have hinted towards a spoiler, but I tried to avoid it right before the show. Oh, look at you in your Devitt shirt, you son of a bitch. The one match we didn't talk about, interestingly enough, from All Out was MJF and Jon Moxley. It was a bit longer than it needed to be. Mm-hmm. I thought that it did heat up towards the end, but had a really slow start. And I can understand it. I'm not as over him as I think Duncan is, but I can understand it when you make the point in saying, Duncan, that you're kind of over Moxley. Like, Moxley needs something else to make him interesting, because it's kind of the same old bag every week and every time you see him at this point.
Yeah.
And I want him maybe to do more of like the New Japan Moxley in AEW, more of the more traditional wrestling based Moxley. But you know, that who knows if we'll ever see that.
I think it's been teased. I think we will. I think it's been teased. I obviously haven't watched the match, but I would agree. I think, again, we're at the mercy of no fans, which is, I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing, obviously, but it's weird for me to say that because they did have some fans, and I shitted on that at the very beginning.
Right.
So it's a weird oxymoron, like, you know, for me to say that. But I will say, I mean, the way he comes through the crowd, the way he does, you know, all of those things, that badass mentality of Moxley in AEW, I think needs that. I also would say that I agree that we need to have a little bit more mat work and, you know, traditional wrestling. I think that we have started to see that a little bit, because you think about matches that he's won previously and recently to this, he's done it by submission and, you know, things like that, where there's been a little bit more grappling. We have not fully seen it, but I think it's been teased. So I don't know.
And it was like not to. I have to stop you because you haven't seen the match, but I will say that the best parts, in my opinion, of the MJF match were that way. That were more mat based. That were.
Yeah, there was a lot of mat wrestling. There was a lot of grappling.
Once they finally got into the story, it worked. It just took a long time to really develop in the context of the wrestling match. Like
probably longer than it took too long to get me to get fully into it,
especially after the show that we had just seen. That was a little, let's be honest, underwhelming. Like that's the way I would 100% put it.
So do you think then? Do you think that's done, Moxley MJF? MJF needs to take it off someone else.
Yeah, I think that's done for now. I think I don't think it's going to be Lance Archer, and with everything that's going on with Hangman and Kenny, I feel like that might be like Lance Archer's the in-between feud before the real one that's maybe even a Kenny the Cleaner.
I'd like to say the Cleaner takes it from fucking Moxley for a second, and then Hangman takes it from him, like
something like that,
like real quick after, like just to
that'd be cool.
Get the pop, and then that's there, and then you could have these two younger guns go after and have MJF and fucking Hangman do a program.
I'd fuck with that. What do you think that Jericho's next feud will be? Because I said earlier it could be Joey Janela. I think that would work. But the only other one that comes to my brain would be Jungle Boy.
I think Jungle Boy, or if you were to... it needs to happen. We talked about it last week. I just don't know if it's going to. But if you break up Inner Circle, you could do him and Sammy.
Oh, yeah. That would work, too. You're absolutely right.
But I agree, Jungle Boy would be good. They have the history already, you know.
Well, he technically never got. I mean, Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy
He went the distance.
He went the distance,
minutes,
and right? and then Jericho extended it and then beat him. So it's like this whole, there's a lot of fuckery there, but he did go the 10 minutes, so you can have that. I think Jungle Boy deserves a push like that.
Yeah.
It then brings me back to what we were talking about last week, factions in AEW. I mean, Jurassic Express is another sort of faction, like how do you get all of these people to have singles pushes when they are parts of these groups that are active? Like and Jungle Express is fairly active.
No, that's fair. That is
fair. I'd like to see it. It needs to happen. I just don't.
I think the biggest part of it is like they're trying to get as many people on BTE or whatever as they can. Best way to do that is to have factions, right? And I guess like, I don't know, Jurassic Express is, I don't know.
I think they are a faction, but they're not, especially in the AEW landscape. They almost feel just more like a team and Marco Stunt.
It's a tag team with Marco Stunt as their manager or their little ring accompaniment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
it would be like if it was like when Private Party had Matt Hardy coming out with them. You know what I mean? They weren't really a faction. They were a Private Party with Matt Hardy.
Do you think that they're actually going in the direction of a full faction now with Eddie Kingston and the Luchas and with Butcher Blade? Because that's an interesting one. Like, I could see, it's so bizarre that I don't know how you fucking tie it together, but
obviously Kingston is scheming on something.
Yeah.
Right, but I want to see it be like I want to see
both on and off screen, by the way.
Obviously, yeah, I love that fucking guy. Like, I'm like, oh, you're a true fucking
He's one of us. He's a scumbag.
He is one of us. He is absolutely one of us. There is no question about that.
He's even said it himself on that interview with Jericho.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that I really think that if you let those guys get over. Let the fans get attached to them, and then out of nowhere, months down the line, Kingston turns his back on him for whatever reason to get something that he wants, like,
or he wants to be with Santana and Ortiz.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's some really good long-term storytelling that they can do here, and I think that if they do it right. It could be so good. And I think that AEW has patience. And I think that Cody especially, sees the value in long-term storytelling.
And knowing how to read the room. And seeing how that at the moment, I think a lot of people in our world, people that do, podcasts, YouTube people, whatever, right? Or just internet wrestling fans, I think we're all kind of on the Eddie Kingston train, right? Like, we're like, oh shit, like, if you didn't like him before, you're gonna like him now. When all it took was 2 appearances of the motherfucker, and it's like,
right,
he's like our new favorite wrestler. So why would they not try and run with that a little bit and make that a thing? I mean, fuck, you could probably do a Jericho Eddie Kingston feud if you wanted to.
I'm wondering if there's something like that, like, because obviously Jericho has some respect for him, like you could hear it in the voice and in that interview.
Yep.
I wonder if
that.
They do, like, dude, you could do an Inner Circle versus Kingston's
crew or whatever they are.
Yeah, like, but to get a fucking Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho, and then you have Santana and Ortiz turn on Jericho to join Kingston,
and help him win, and
like that.
Well, now you're risking. Now you're risking. Obviously, now you're almost risking having. Of course, you're gonna have to have I would say Kingston is kind of the face. Like realistically, that's what we're doing. Like we make Kingston.
No, you can do two. You can do heel versus heel. You don't need to do.
You don't have to. But you would almost be risking a sort of Jericho face turn if you ever wanted to go that way. Which there is
maybe. But Jericho can be whatever he wants
absolutely.
to be. Like even now, it's all in the way that he's going to deliver his promo. If he decides that he's going to deliver his promo as a face, everybody's going to buy him as a face tomorrow.
Yep.
So,
but something like that with Eddie Kingston would only help solidify it, I guess. But like
but then you
kind
just
of into that idea though.
The GOAT, the you have Chris Jericho, the arguably the greatest of all time. And then you have Eddie Kingston, like an unknown great in so many circles.
Yep.
And the promos that he and Jericho could cut on each other. And, dude, like, the mic work in that would be so good. Unbelievable.
That it wouldn't even matter what the match was like, even though the match would probably deliver as well.
Sure. Absolutely it would.
The styles would actually mesh.
Yeah. And like I think there's an easy 3-match program in that, and you can definitely have Jericho win the first one by sort of like a screwy finish. Kingston wins the second, and in the rubber match is when you have, and maybe that's when before the rubber match you have Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Brothers. Like maybe Butcher and Blade get kicked out. I can see this happening. I can see Butcher and Blade getting kicked out, and I can see Santana and Ortiz coming in.
That'd be cool. I like all these ideas. I like
sometimes them. I just get the right amount of high, and I think about it, and it's the goods.
But ultimately, I mean, just to backtrack a little bit, I'll say that probably 3 stars with MJF, maybe 2.5 MJF and Mox.
It is passable. It is an F+.
It got decent at the very end. That's why I'll just give it a little bit of a shot. But what I did want to bring up to both you is how you guys feel about that new WWE social media policy and how that could be really kind of influential for a lot of superstars. I would imagine if, my contract's up and I get a similar, option from a different company that didn't have that same policy, I think.
Fuck you. I'm not an independent contractor. Don't call me that. Pay my fucking insurance. Fucking pay for my travel. Yep. Like,
give me
literally,
stock options.
Literally. Like, that's
you're paying for my travel. You're paying for my hotels.
It fucking is what it is at that point, because even if, and this is more for the wrestlers that had the gimmick and the name coming into it, built all of that. WWE, I mean, I'm sure in the contract somewhere, I don't know what these contracts are like, but I'm sure in there somewhere it says they've given up some sort of right, but fuck that. It's fucked that
it's their name.
Those things. And the fact that you can't use your own, it's like your own real name. Like, let's discuss, do something like that.
Very quickly, like what was essentially said. We don't have to read the exact quote, but what we know is as facts is that they came out with a statement that did in fact say that Vince McMahon believes that he owns the rights to both the character names and the independent real names. That they are not allowed to do interact with third parties, essentially.
Cameo.
So I thought
anyway, that's actual money.
YouTube seems okay for some reason.
They've done some weird shit,
but
because
Twitch doesn't. Like
no Twitch, no
Twitch,
Cameo.
and that's what's interesting is that I thought it was funny. Renee Young posted. She's like, I guess now's time to start my Twitch and Cameo account.
Right.
Well, I don't know how much truth it has, but it seems like they pull back on the controversy or seen that this is super controversial and pull back on some of the programs. This was as of a couple of hours ago before the show started. So I don't know if you've seen this, but apparently they have said that it is, or due to reports, things like they're going to be able to do Twitch as long as it's under their own name and not under the character name. So now, like Paige, that's why she's changed it from Paige to whatever the fuck her name is. I always forget it. Soraya, whatever.
But can they talk about wrestling?
They can't. I think that's what they're making the big, like, that's the huff and the puff right now, is that they can still do it. They can still stream, but they want to keep people like AJ Styles from talking about Paul Heyman on his Twitch channel. They want to be able to control that message. They don't want that getting out. They want to be able to, I'm sure, prohibit people from doing certain podcasts and certain.
Well, that's why we keep getting turned down.
Oh, wow. Clearly.
It's been like that forever. Vince has fucking had it in for us since day one.
Vince does not like us.
Oh, 100%.
The only thing he likes about us is our ideas, which is why they steal.
He still does.
And he likes the views that you got him on YouTube a couple years ago at Mania. But
what I heard though too was, like, I know Miro, formerly Rusev, was super pissed about this because there were a lot of comments that came out suggesting that it was Lana's selling of an Instagram ad to an energy drink that sort of spawned this into getting out of control. Like that kind of moved it down that road into him,
which was not accurate.
And apparently I don't know the facts on it. All I know is what Miro or Rusev said.
Sure.
And
I think it'd be more likely because the CEO and president of that energy drink is like right in line with Vince and Linda as far as politics go.
It'll be something weird like that.
I think that he is. So like, I think that. And that's why most wrestlers who had been drinking that energy drink stopped drinking it last year, because like a bunch of indie wrestlers were
I didn't know this. I didn't know this side note.
Welcome to the dirt of independent wrestling bullshit.
Wow.
That you only find
out if
you're
follow the money,
really
man. That's all you got to do is follow the money.
Cui bono.
And
who benefits?
It seems fucked because I didn't realize it, but they are making like real money. I forget who reported it, but apparently Paige makes, and you can find this if you know how to do the Twitch math with subscribers and affiliate, like all these different things. Like, you can figure it out. But apparently she's making about $40,000 a month off of Twitch. So that's a significant amount of money to be taking away from somebody. And I guess WWE wanting their piece of that pie. I would be so bad, I mean, can you imagine being in that situation?
Okay.
The cameo, like Roman apparently makes somewhere between $60,000 and $70,000 a month off of like that shit.
So
that's just off
Roman,
of me.
Yeah, that's just off of Matthew. Matthew loves the way Roman talks.
I just literally just get him on Cameo and get him to do the fist pump.
Yeah,
just for hours.
So I think Roman's cameos are $500. They start at $500.
They're not cheap.
So Big E, I know somebody posted the math. Big E has 500 some odd 5-star cameo ratings. And his start at 125.
Okay.
So he's made over $65,000 just from people that have ranked him on Cameo. So
that's amazing. Like, so fuck off.
So fuck that. And,
that's my second livelihood essentially. If I'm an independent contractor, I need to be able to do that.
Exactly. And like, what are you? What are you gonna be doing when it comes to like, fucking? How many of these wrestlers have Twitch channels? And I guess up, down, WWE owns. Yeah. So that's less of a, But Xavier's still probably got to be pretty upset about that, I would assume.
or he got a great deal out of it and was able to just monetize it in a different way than, you know, other things. But I mean, I'm sure he's not, you know, I'm sure he's getting paid for it, but at the end of the day, he might have been like, I wish I would have held out, or because realistically, I think a lot of wrestlers play video games when they're on the road. It's something like streaming. Everybody's streaming these days.
Right.
I don't know that, again, the owning somebody's like real name thing is a whole nother like legal issue and could be challenged in court very easily. I think
it should be, and they've obviously got people like they have Andrew Yang very pissed at them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
that's why I think they backed off very quickly. Like they were like, okay, yeah, you're right. We don't know.
You're like, oh, somebody who, depending on how the election goes, could be Secretary of Labor. Cool. Let's not invite any more fucking attraction to us than we already have. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is fair. This is fair.
But the whole thing is just generally fucked. I mean, you should be able to go out and make money on your own name. Like,
yeah.
And like outside of character, outside of kayfabe. And I understand there are things you couldn't talk about within the industry,
Absolutely.
or the company you work for, that sort of thing. I understand that. Like, okay, I get it, but you can't limit somebody's right in a fucking free country, in a free economy, to fucking try and make some money doing something that people are willing to fucking pay for, being yourself. And that is like your given born name and born personality. And what's interesting is that, like, you think of like Rock, you think of Stone Cold, and fucking even Kingston was saying it and giving that comparison on that podcast. And he's like, they just said that was them turned up, and that's me. Yep. I'm me turned up, you know, just a little bit. Right. So like that, you then are in this like weird like line where it's like, if you then are that person turned down, but that's technically you, and your character was based on some reality of you that you turned up, like, there's this weird thing that a company that you've signed a contract with can say, like, I own that. And you're like, no, but that's me, you know? Right. And like, I think that's like the biggest fucking gray area and biggest mind fuck to me.
That line, like, how do you cut that line? Where does it blur? Where does it get, like, where does it start and where does it stop? Like,
where do they own the character and where do they start to own the person?
Because realistically, could anybody play The Undertaker? I know that's a joke in and of itself because people have, and, you know, but no. Like, there is only Mark Calloway is The Undertaker, right? And without a doubt, you look at, like, that he could only ever be that one person, like, to play that role. At what point do the two characters sort of like meld, and who owns what?
I think as long
apparently
as
WWE, because you did The Last Ride.
That's true. And I mean, also, like,
yeah, you're right.
He legit sold his soul.
Is he like, I don't know, is The Undertaker selling the cameo? Is Mark Calloway?
I was just trying to play the devil's advocate that it would be possible that you could make an argument that only that is him, to a degree, that he should own that rather than like the company, because he made it what it was. You know,
sure, but he can be Mark Calloway, and people are going to know he's the Undertaker. But you
can only talk to him about fishing and hunting.
Mostly hunting and police brutality.
Yeah, Blue Lives Matter, bro. All of that.
As soon as he puts on the hat and that jacket, it becomes then that's when it becomes the character.
Yeah, I get what you mean there. I mean,
you know what I mean?
And you are correct, but the argument again could then be just made, like, without him, does that character ever even exist?
I think that the argument is irrelevant because of the legality of
the
WWE
owns that copyright or whatever.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
You are correct, but
if they want to put somebody else, if they want to put a wig on me
and go down to be
send me out there.
I fucking hope they do.
Yeah.
I'll let them do it.
I hope they do.
I'm a lot cheaper than they think I am. Believe me.
Fuck
if
you,
they
buddy.
did that, and,
As he goes through the curtain.
Yeah, seriously. I just want a little baby face, maybe a little IC run. I don't know. Just wanted to be a baby face. I don't know.
I do karate shit. That's what I do.
So I think that if they did that and sent me out as the Undertaker, would anybody believe it? No. They would obviously know it's the faker taker.
But they legally could.
But they could. So in the same way that if he wanted to do a signing that wasn't a WWE sanctioned signing, he can't go as the Undertaker. He can't go as WWE superstar the Undertaker. He would have to go as Mark Calloway, and then they could put in,
which is
in little brackets the Undertaker.
Yeah, they could do something like that.
So it's all about how you do it, man.
Yeah. Let's run through a couple things before we start wrapping.
What about OnlyFans? Are they allowed to do OnlyFans?
Probably not.
Oh man, those motherfuckers tried to steal my credit card.
Did they?
Yeah. I got a text from my bank yesterday, literally saying, "Are you trying to spend $100 on OnlyFans?" I'm like,
Roman Reigns,
my wife.
OnlyFans?
I was trying. It was me. I stole his credit card info and was trying to watch.
Watch Sunny
videos.
OnlyFans.
Sunny videos, yeah.
What happened with Joey Janela and Sunny?
I don't know. I actually,
was that a thing?
I know Dolph. I know Dolph was. Dolph was definitely a thing. Like Dolph and Sunny were a thing.
Oh no, I'm talking about sorry, I'm talking in AEW.
You're talking about Sunny Kiss.
Sunny Kiss. I'm talking about that. Made me think like what happened with Joey Janela and Sunny Kiss.
They're still a tag team. They're still buddies.
I liked some of their fucking vignette things, like in the convertible and shit like that. I liked that stuff. I thought
Sunny Kiss
great.
Was with him on
the pre-show. Yeah.
Like really? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no, they're still a thing.
Okay, I'm glad that's still going. I was for that.
Yeah, no, I think everybody.
Sorry, I was not talking about Sunny. I should have said Sunny Kiss. My bad.
Yeah, because there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know that Joey Janela is old enough to know to bang Sunny, but Dolph Ziggler sure is.
Yes, he is. Joey Janela. Look, first of all, Sunny will bang
Joey?
anything.
That's true. Yeah.
And Joey is like, I don't know, maybe 30.
Right. He might not be old enough to want to bang Sunny is, I guess, my point. Whereas Dolph definitely is. That's the way I feel about it. We got more news from, of course, the Sturgis rally where Jericho performed. I don't know if you guys heard this one. Remember
COVID cases.
Yeah,
he said,
I remember we talked about
this
it.
Many people.
They've confirmed that 250,000 corona cases have come from the goddamn Sturgis.
And it will cost an estimated $12 billion in public health costs. So good job, Jericho, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. They've been quiet about that one, haven't they?
Yeah, and they will continue to be quiet about it because, look, I love Tony Khan, but he also will let his big name talent do whatever the fuck they want because he is scared to death that Jericho will be like, okay, fine, I quit.
Or I'll just beat you up.
I think he's less scared of that because his lawyers are better.
That's true.
Yeah, but not that Jericho has to go anywhere if he wasn't at AEW, but where would he go? He can't travel to Japan.
No,
but he could show up anywhere he would want to, realistically.
There's enough red states that are open that he could go and fucking take Fozzy and play a bunch of concerts in places that'll spread more COVID.
It's true.
WWE would also take him back in a goddamn heartbeat. You kidding me?
I think Vince might make him sweat for a year.
Yeah, but he would.
Yeah.
He would take him back in a heart. They would
absolutely.
Vince would make him chew his steak and spit it back into his mouth,
like a bird, like a
bird. Absolutely.
Oh God, that's creepy.
He'd do it with poutine though, because Jericho's Canadian.
Yeah.
Well, a little gravy is always good. I mean,
do it, Chris. You know you want to.
Oh, God.
Chew up those curds, pal.
Chew him up. Chew him up. He's gonna puke it in my mouth.
He's gonna feed me like a baby bird.
It's that meme, of course, where Vince is just
Yeah.
the one. Yeah. That was the Trish Stratus. Was that the Trish Stratus scenario?
Or Stacy Keibler?
It was
or
one of
Tori Wilson.
Yeah.
Which, right.
It doesn't matter. We've spilled DNA to them all.
Trish is still my favorite. Trish the Dish.
Stacy all day.
Yeah, you're Stacy. Trish, bro.
Oh my
God.
I love Trish.
Yeah.
I love Trish, but Stacy, man. And Stacy Keibler is still fucking hot. I had to look around to make sure my wife hadn't come home yet, and I'm just like, no, because she isn't here.
I gotta go with Duncan on this one.
Going Keibler? Oh man, all right. Sorry, I'm just Trish. Just my girl.
I'm not saying anything negative about Trish Stratus.
No, and nor am I.
She looks just as good now too. Like she looks different, but she looks just as good. Yeah,
absolutely.
Trish, you can hit me up anytime. You can find our links in the podcast. You can hit me up on Twitch. You could.
If anybody knows any good divorce attorneys, Owen might need one.
You can find my link in my pants.
NXT Championship. I did want to mention a bit about NXT. We haven't, I'm sure it's done by now. Obviously,
yeah. There is a winner.
I said it was gonna be Balor. Do we want to spoil it for ourselves? Do we want to look at the couple of these?
I'm pulling it up.
I know.
I'm
so
pulling it up.
Is it Balor?
It is Balor.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, it seems like it's probably the right move right now. I'm okay with it. Yeah. It would have been weird to go straight back to Adam Cole. And yeah, Prince Devitt, we see you.
Look, man, we got to support the homies that send us free shirts.
Yeah.
No.
He also gave me a call before the match. Just like, hey, man, I'm just going to go do this thing real quick. Can I call you back later?
Gonna tear it up.
Dude, sorry I was blowing you up.
You're like, sure, I got to go to Ohio and hate my life
I was just telling you I was going to go to Ohio, but the move went great. So
Did Rhea win over Mercedes?
Rhea did win.
Yeah. I felt like she would. It was steel cage, right?
Yes. I don't know if there was any fuckery. I kind of only breezed through everything else. I know the sex offender Teen Dream won his match.
Oh, wow. Still there.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they would. Okay. Yeah. I forgot about that.
I don't think he's going anywhere, man.
I guess
think they're
not.
Gonna keep him around.
Yeah. I guess that's
which is like
a thing.
A decision that was made.
Did
you guys hear that there's possibility of NXT moving to a different night?
It's gone back and forth, right? A couple days.
They've gone back and forth, but I'm still reading that there's possibility
because of how much better their ratings were
on a
Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
Honestly,
I mean,
me too.
I'm someone who I don't know, as much as and this is the argument in the articles that I've read, and I fucking will agree 100% with the article. Like, we all love the Monday Night Wars and have this, like, at least our generation and like the people that we are,
romanticization of it.
Yeah, but like, dude, I'm not
said.
flipping back and forth between them. I'm picking one over the other. And I will say, thank God, I fucking finally don't have to do my week-to-week thing for fucking NXT or fucking TNT anymore.
Oh, you got cable now.
Well, it was fucking $3 more with my fucking internet for a fucking year. It was like,
that's where I was at. That's where I was at.
They're like, we'll give you $3 and you can watch all of that shit. I was like, let me ask you this. They were like, you can watch all the Broncos games and Nuggets games. I was like, yeah, don't give a fuck. Let me ask you this. Do I get TNT and do
USA?
I get USA? And I was like, and a DVR. And they're like, yeah. And they're like, it's $296 or something like that more for you. And I was like, book it.
That's what they're doing now. Cable's coming back in a weird, awful way.
And not for me. I will tell you that, because the only option I ever get, they're just like, if you spend $40 more a month, you can have our basic cable package. And I'm like, you can eat my ass.
You gotta scam them, man. You gotta
I was a new customer because I've been off the fucking grid for any of these companies for fucking over a decade. Like, haven't had accounts with them, so they're like, who the fuck is this guy? I'm like, give me all of your promotional deals. How long can I sign in? Can I go on Cameo after this?
Do you own my name?
Yeah, but they do. I was looking at the brochures. I was like, what? I was like, you fucking Xfinity, Comcast, you guys do cell phones too?
Oh yeah, they do all
I was like, you guys are... You bundle fucking everything nowadays. I feel like I could probably buy my groceries through them.
Spectrum now does all that shit too. Like it's fucking creepy.
That's their dig back. I think at the a la carte and the streaming services.
What were weren't we talking about wrestling or something?
We were talking about wrestling, and we were, and I was saying that with the switching of the nights, that's where we were.
Oh yeah, that's where we were, and it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, and I was saying, and sorry, I went off on a random diatribe there, but I was saying that, like, it was the either, like, as much as it's romanticized, as Duncan said, with those wars, like, and it's good for but it's good for business that both of them are still running shows, even if it's on separate nights, even if it's on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, or Wednesday and Thursdays, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I don't know. I'd probably be more prone to watch it at like or watch both rather, not one over the other, if they were on different nights.
Yep.
So they're probably going to get both my views.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
The only thing I guess it does kind of hurt is that NWA Power on YouTube has traditionally been on Tuesday nights, because it was like one of the only free nights. So I could see that being, like a little detrimental.
So they go to Thursday.
Them. Yeah, I was gonna say
Thursday. Impact on Thursday?
No, Impact's on Tuesday as well. Yeah, so they fight. So I guess like realistically is just one more person in the fight. But
someone's got to go to Saturday mornings.
Right.
Do it. Fucking do it.
Why not though? Like, because that's that's actually a really NWA on Saturday mornings.
I was just thinking NWA Power on Saturday.
Dude, and imagine how many, not just fucking stoned and drunk fucks like us, who would wake up in the morning, cook some fucking bacon and eggs, and fucking sit down and watch it. But imagine some responsible or semi-responsible people with families and kids who would wake up and watch it with their family.
Yep.
Their kids,
Total thing, because that was a thing when we grew up. So naturally, like, those people would introduce like their kids on a Saturday morning to some wrestling like that. It was a great idea. And speaking of Power, it was in my notes I wanted to talk about. Isn't it? It probably already happened as well. Mike Bennett versus Nick Aldis for the NWA Championship, I think, was tonight, or I might have that wrong.
Was it the 9th?
Or so? Okay, wait, no.
When's the?
So maybe it's tomorrow.
I don't know.
Nick Aldis. Someone got this? Or
it's on NWA Power, right? When it comes back.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I think I feel like it might have been tonight.
Well, we'll find out.
I think it was. Maybe I'm wrong. If you find it, I'm too distracted to bother with it. But if you
computers, so
if you find it, let me know. But I know it was coming soon, and I don't know much about it. I don't know that there's any real history, but it's cool to see that Mike Bennett's getting a gig, like, and that seems like a match that I would watch. In my heart, I feel like Nick Aldis probably still retains. They've done, but they could do something cool with having Mike Bennett win it.
I'm sure they could. All right, let's see. What do we got?
Dude, I've never had to like type in so many keywords
Google
to find something.
Thank you. I'm like I started it and there was a lot of
May 12th.
So maybe it wasn't tonight.
I got one. Let's see. From
it was filmed January 26th, but it aired May 12th. That's the most recent thing that I have for.
I got a tweet from Nick.
I've got a tweet from This Is NWA. Huge announcement. Hashtag 10 pounds of gold is back. Come join us 6 p.m. Eastern on the official NWA Twitter channel. Real Nick Aldis and Real versus Real Mike Bennett. It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait. So that was this morning at 11:38.
So that leads me to believe it was tonight.
Okay, here we go. Ben's first major move post WWE. Challenge to Aldis for the 10 pounds of gold. The clash is set for the new show co-produced by David Marquez and the NWA Primetime Live on September 15th. It's also the NWA's first foray back into the wrestling bubble in the new COVID-19 era.
So it's a different thing then. It's like a iPay-per-view. Is that what I'm assuming?
So, yeah, the first episode of the newest chapter of 10 Pounds of Gold will premiere at 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night. So a week from tonight. On the NWA YouTube channel.
So maybe
doesn't have any other information, but so that match is so they announced it today at 11:38 a.m.
But the match, it might have been taped
on the NWA YouTube channel.
It's not been released, is I guess the best
it says
way to
live
say
exclusively on Fight TV or in demand pay-per-view.
Gotcha. Yeah, they're gonna actually do the match for real.
Yep.
That's cool. Well, I'll have to look more into that. I mean, would you pay for? That's a really interesting question. If you had like a bunch of like on-demand matches that were going to happen live around like maybe different events, would you like buy one single match for like $5 or something like that? Like, would you on demand buy a particular match?
A la carte a match?
Yeah,
no.
A show is a show, and that would fuck that whole vibe up. But
also like if one match is $5,
right,
how many matches are on the card? And how much is the card in total? Because if it's a $20 card and there's 8 matches on the card,
it's
right?
like with CDs back in the day.
Can't I get it 10 minutes after for free?
Also, there's that.
But 5 for 20, like do the old. I
mean, that's how I got All Out. And I haven't even watched it yet. You guys fucking watched it.
Yeah.
So
don't be mad at us.
Like 6 for 20.
For your don't let your generosity make you mad at us.
Yeah, my workarounds.
Yeah, you do. You've
Your
done
Canadian generosity.
You got a bunch of workarounds on the internet.
Do you guys want to talk about Marty Jannetty's thing? Like his latest? We could.
I don't
either. he was real racist. He got even worse. He got even worse.
If we never have to mention the fact that Marty Jannetty exists,
it's fair. It does not seem like a great individual.
No, I think maybe going through the barbershop window was actually the right thing to happen.
Yeah, maybe Sean, he was
maybe
the face.
Sean was right even back then.
Maybe he was. One thing that doesn't seem like it wasn't right, that feels like it would be right, is on Talkin' Shop this past week. We had the Young Bucks talking to the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, I guess now, and they made a reference to the fact of what the third person that was possibly going to be joining them on what they wanted to be their first episode of TNT Dynamite, AEW's TNT Dynamite, whatever it's called. And yeah, it sounds like maybe AJ Styles was real close to jumping ship and joining with the young, the Good Brothers. And I think,
can you imagine that though? Like, Jesus.
Well, it goes into what we were talking about a few minutes ago with the whole WWE saying you can't, go on and talk about this, that, and the other. And Owen, I think you brought up and said AJ Styles can't go on and talk about Paul Heyman and shit like that. Like,
yeah,
it made me think. Even when you said that, I was like, man, he said he wanted to end his career at WWE, and I was like, This type of shit would make him fucking pull either one, a huge contract negotiation, like
Right.
this is a fucking money grab, or I could go do some cool shit with my friends at the end because I've already made a shit ton of money. You know, because I don't agree with this because and the thing is, like, at least not just the Paul Heyman thing, but any other thing I heard AJ Styles say, it was kind of just like nonchalant while he's fucking gaming and like talking and stuff like that, you know? Same way fucking Miro or Rusev, you know?
Yep.
Who's not necessarily under that same stipulation anymore, but I don't know. I think it's interesting, and I think when I first heard about this, read that and thought it, I was like, God, fuck, is there a chance that AJ, like, I don't know what his contract is or when it would be up. I was like, is there a chance he could just say fuck it and like just go with the Good Brothers?
I feel like there was, but maybe the money, I mean, it seems like it might
He's
be
got a lot of kids.
Little too good, and that opportunity might have lapsed. Like, it might have been something.
I think you're right. I'm kind of holding out hope that this was like part of a straw that broke that camel's back. Well, it's like, I only have another, and I don't know what, like I said, what his contract is, like another year, but I could make my money and then do
something
year
cool
with like my friends, just like not under contract. Like, I'm just fucking making money.
Never say never.
You're an actual independent contractor? Hold on.
Like, wait.
Yeah. You could actually just be an actual independent contractor?
Never say never. It could, something, it is pro wrestling. These things do happen indeed. I did love the idea that was apparent, like, that they wanted to do. The Young Bucks said it to, Gallows and Anderson, in just the fact they wanted to have this, like, mini, like, Bullet Club type reunion. Young Bucks are there, they come out, then like AJ comes out afterwards. Oh, holy shit, we've got a big Bullet Club like thing, and they just beat their asses. Was the whole point, is that AJ and the club, if you will, would beat the Young Bucks down, and that was what would start the Elite, and then there was going to be a feud between the Elite and this club, whatever they called them. But that's probably what that inner circle, we talked about this before, but that's probably what that inner circle situation was meant to be in the beginning.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would think. And that's definitely, having now, seen all of the things that they've done and all the things that they've said, I'm just like, yeah, I could definitely see that being how they would decide to go instead.
No, 100%.
But man, what a fucking, like, how that would have set the wrestling world on fire, Like,
it's more AJ than anything, but the three of them together, it's just like that. Well, no, the five of them together, really. Like, you put it that way, and how they could make that, just like, that is money. That's clearly money, but
definitely
AJ was offered that other money to stay, so. You gotta think about it in that regard as well. Which,
he wasn't offered a little amount of money to stay either.
No, he was not. I think it was probably worth his while, and I understand why that's the case. One other bit of news that I heard this past week, which I think would have been really cool, is that apparently Kurt Angle really wanted to wrestle Rusev when he came back, and that's who he wanted, like, as his last opponent. They've been going back and forth on Twitter and all sorts of shit. Sounds like Kurt Angle really wanted Rusev to be the guy to, be the last one. Of course, it ended up being Baron Corbin.
How can you blame that booking? I mean,
which went
come
really
on.
Well. But yeah.
I mean, Baron Corbin is, in fact, the greatest
Is he still wearing that fucking cape and carrying that fucking saber?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's
That's gotta be, get rid of that shit. That's done. That's over with. Also,
that's the only good thing about him, bro.
Yeah, also on the last SmackDown, finally they brought back the briefcase with Otis.
Yeah.
Miz and John Morrison fucking stole it after that match. All of a sudden it fucking makes sense. Wait. The fucking briefcase is back.
Yeah, the briefcase was back. And then you know what happened? Otis was just like, I don't keep my contract in my briefcase. I keep it in my lunchbox.
Goddamn right you do. Goddamn right.
The fucking briefcase, and what was in there? It wasn't ham. I was so close to getting that shit dead on. It was a sandwich, but it might have been a ham sandwich.
It was a ham sandwich. You have to believe.
We have to believe. It was with extra mayo. I love it. God
damn it. Once again, I was right. The most retarded thing the most dumbass thing I could possibly think of. You were
so goddamn close on that. Yeah, you were.
I was so close. And ham sandwich. I got it. I get half credit.
Are they selling that lunchbox on fucking WWEshop.com?
I don't know, but they probably will be now.
They need to.
Well, if they're obviously listening to this podcast live. I see them in the Twitch stream.
Oh yeah,
there's fake names in the chat room.
Yeah. What's up, Mel? What's up, Dave?
Probably gonna pop up in the next 24 hours. Mm-hmm. I will say I've also been distracted here, jumping back and forth between Trish Stratus and Stacy Keibler photos.
Yeah.
Old versus new. Probably made a mistake because I am on my work computer tonight. But they're probably like wrestling dudes in fucking tights and shorts, and he's on fucking Zoom, and now he's looking at Stacy Keibler and fucking. But I'm gonna stand by it. Stacy Keibler.
Still going with Stacy.
Yeah, I got to stand by it. I just did some pretty good research.
Just did a deep dive.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like that.
I don't disagree with both of them, but I'd like to hear the Facebook group sound off on that.
Keibler or
Keibler or Stratus. Yeah.
All right.
I think Sable to yourselves. Keep everyone else to yourselves. Do these two.
I'll start a poll. I'll do a poll on our Facebook group. Facebook contest group says Odo
and
Wrestling.
It's not a then versus now. It's a overall.
Yeah. It's an overall. Yeah, still go.
It's not a then versus now.
Trish the Dish. She, 100%.
Owen's gonna rig this poll.
I can't rig the poll, bro. Even if I wanted to.
Whatever.
Stacy Keibler rigged my poll.
Do you guys you excited about the Cedric heel turn? We got two last topics.
I don't care.
I'm okay with I think it'll might help him.
It'll be fine, but honestly, I
can't be excited about it.
Yeah,
no.
But I mean, it will be fine, but it does nothing for me. It does nothing.
I hope we're wrong on that one because he's a super talented performer, and I want to see him
absolutely
do better.
Is. And I think it will work out, but just right now, I don't care.
I agree. I have really high hopes, and this is why I'll leave on this one, because I think that they are going to brew continuously into something really cool with Aleister Black and Kevin Owens. And they started it a couple weeks ago. Now they've gone and they last night did the Raw Underground match between the two of them. I think it's a good way for Aleister Black to turn more heel. And a good.
But you had Dabacato out there fucking Aleister Black up, and you know what I mean. So I don't know. I think it's also a good way to maybe give some eyes to a guy that's been in developmental for several years.
Right.
So
right.
Aleister Black and KO can have a banger feud if they let them have a banger feud.
If they let them have it. That's exactly it. But it's given me at least a little bit of reason to have some hope with WWE programming that this is what, beyond anything, I think I'm more interested in something with those two than I am any other program that's currently going on the roster.
I would agree with that. I think doing it on Raw Underground was a good idea. Making it that more, but I still they still haven't figured out the fucking Raw Underground for me. I don't hate it, but fucking shut Shane the fuck up. I've been saying it since day one. Literally since day one. What the fuck is he doing? What the fuck is he saying? He can't just fucking... He's not the referee. He can't... fucking hold him up. Pull him up. He's down.
He's the
out.
hype man.
Like, apparently. Who the fuck are you? Like, shut the fuck up. And also, slow your cuts. Slow your cuts. Yeah. Slow your cuts and shut your mouth.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that.
It's not a terrible name for the show in general, right there.
Slow your cuts and shut your mouth.
I don't mind it. Do you guys want to add anything before we roll out of here? It's about
no. I'm glad we don't have to do predictions.
Yeah, right. No, I think we did good. We'll talk to you guys next week, where I'll still be champion, as you know. I don't have to make predictions this week. What is the next one? Clash of Champions, I guess?
Maybe.
I think that's probably at end of the month, I would assume. Either way, I'll be champion until then. And you can thank me for being such a good one. Again, 3 weeks running. One after the gauntlet of championship wins. Thank you very much. There's a lot of middle fingers going on in our Zoom chat right now. But I love them all to death. Guys, please visit us over at onowrestling.com. Check out our Facebook group. Even leave a voicemail if you want at 407-906-6466. Check out our Twitch chat room if you're listening to this on the podcast, twitch.tv/ONRS Live. These two lovely fellas have a podcast of their own, and it is called Nobody Cares Go Harder. You can find that at nobodycaresgoharder.com. And you guys gonna ever do another show? It's been a long time.
Well, look, now that the good brother has...
Yeah, I've been fucking nomad for a while.
Yeah.
I want to apologize for my life.
I guess what you're saying is you finally settled down. You've got the ability to, now that your internet's fixed, to be able to pull off.
Fixed. I'm not living out of a suitcase anymore.
Yeah.
Get back into my own place. Been a bunch of
get back in the stride.
Yeah, so now it's going to be easier and better than ever. So check us out. Nobody Cares Go Harder. Go back and listen to all of those old shows so you can catch up as we're about to bring those new ones online. And then jump back into all of the Ono radio shows and Ono wrestlings.
Absolutely. What do we say when we get out of here, boys?